Hi everyone, it's Wickedly Fun Wednesday and we are on chapter 9. So we're about 3/4 of the way done with the book and let's find out what happens. Chapter 9, Unexpected Surprises. She is such a stunning child, don't you think? Oh yes, she certainly is. I just wish we did not have her here. I do not want to get caught watching this baby. If the queen finds out we are watching her child, she will surely kill us both, said Shell. Stop saying things like that. No one knows she is on Earth. All is well. No one would suspect she is with humans. Alexis knows everything. She has her spies here on Earth. It is only a matter of time before she figures it all out. No, no one will ever suspect. Everyone believes you gave birth to this child, so no one knows our child was stillborn. Our secret is safe, as is the princess, declared Geron. This is one debt I wish I was paid. I do not like this at all. I hate having to lie to our family and friends. I worry about the end result. How will it end? I assume badly. Time will tell. Stop worrying, Shell. You're going to do the right thing and save this child and help your best friend. Oh, I hope you're right. I really do. It feels like betrayal, and I know that Alexis will not tolerate that. She will have her revenge. The last thing I ever wanted to do was hurt her, Shell said sadly. You're a good and loyal friend. I know this has been difficult. However, look at the child. This is the best thing we could have done to help Alexis. We saved them both from someone vengeful. In time, you will see that this is the best decision. You will learn and you will accept it. Let's not worry about it for now. We must ensure the safety of the child. That is our priority. We absolutely have to do this. Oh, I know you're right. It just feels so wrong, professed Shell. Rest assured, you are strong and making the right choice. Stop second-guessing our decision. Remember the purpose behind the plan, said Geron as he lovingly looked at his wife. I love you, Geron. You are right. I just never wanted to hurt or disappoint Alexis. I love you too. Now chin up and smile. Let's put our baby to bed. Let us relax and enjoy this glorious fall day. They gently placed Lila in the crib and closed the door. They walked holding hands back to the living room. There, Geron opened the back door. They stepped onto the back patio and sat down on a rickety wooden chairs, looking at the mountains. Shades of orange, red, and yellow blended together to form trees. It was a beautiful day. A crisp light breeze brought shivers to Shell. She wrapped her shawl more tightly around herself. She looked off into the distance, thinking about Alexis, wondering how she was doing without her precious child. Leaves fell from the tree next to her. She watched as they gently landed on the ground. She stared at the leaves for a minute, thinking. A hard grip brought her back to reality. Shell, we need to go inside now. What is it, Geron? Asked Shell, looking around nervously. Look, there, off in the distance, off on the right. He pointed to a dark cloud. It seemed to hover over the lake. How odd. Geron grabbed Shell by the arm and pulled her back into the house. He closed and locked the door. He closed the shades and all the windows as well. He motioned for her to sit on the sofa by the fireplace. He placed his finger over her mouth, telling her to be quiet. She looked at him and shook her head, not understanding what was happening. He walked to her and whispered in her ear, Go see Lila. Do not make a sound, no matter what you hear. I think they found us. Go quietly and swiftly, and I love you. He pushed her towards the door to the nursery. He watched as she walked into the room and closed the door. He walked cautiously back to the window by the kitchen, peeking through the blinds to see what was happening outside. He saw the cloud had turned a purple-gray color, and it was closer than ever. The sky had turned darker, too. The wind picked up. Leaves were hitting the window rapidly. He heard branches scratching the side of the house from the massive oak tree by the living room. He remembered he was supposed to have trimmed that back, but he had forgotten. Lila was sleeping on her side, suckling her thumb. She was unaware of what was happening outside. Shell watched over her nervously. She walked to the door and listened for noises. She heard nothing. Scared, she walked back to the crib and rubbed Lila's back. Shell was feeling sick to her stomach. She could not think and barely breathe. She turned to walk softly to the window and attempt to peek out. Lifting one of the slats of the wooden blind, she saw it started raining. She could not see the dark cloud that they had spotted earlier by the lake, unaware it was now over the house. Shell turned away from the window and walked to the rocking chair. There she sat down, staring at the crib. She pulled the blanket over her lap and covered up. She shivered. It was extremely cold in the room, and she was scared. She wondered what was happening in the room with Geron. Was he okay? In the other room, Geron watched as the cloud moved over the house. The rain was loudly pounding on the metal roof, making clunking noises. He looked to the other side of the room and the enormous wall in the living room. He noticed the fire in the fireplace had died. He walked to the fireplace and lit 3 candles on the mantel. The room became very dark, and he hoped it would make it brighter. He threw a log onto the dying flames, hoping it would reignite the fire. For added measure, he crumpled up some paper and added it to the fire, attempting to accelerate the flames. Within a minute, the flames grew tall, and the fire seemed to have caught. He walked to the nursery and quietly opened the door. He saw Shell curled up in the chair, sleeping with a blanket. In the crib, Lila appeared to be sleeping too. He closed the door and walked back to the living room. He gazed out the large window to see if he could spot the cloud. Just as he's about to open the curtain a bit more, a bright light hit his face. It was so bright and blinding. He fell backwards and tripped. He hit his head on the table, falling onto the rug by the sofa. Panicked, he managed to look up, and that is when he saw her. He wanted to speak, but his eyes felt heavy. He succumbed to the pain and closed his eyes before he could speak. A woman entered the room alone. She held her massive scepter out in front and used her bright spell to blind Geron. She did not plan on hitting him in the head or causing his fall. She bent over and checked on him. His chest was moving, and he was still breathing. Good. She never meant for any of this to happen. And where was this child? Where was Shell? She left the room to find them. The first room she encountered was empty. Nothing in the room to indicate life. She closed the door and moved quickly to the next room. In another bedroom, it too was completely empty. She was tired of this. She proceeded to the next room, opened the door, and smiled. There, Shell was curled up in a chair, sleeping, gently snoring coming from her. She glanced over to the other side of the room and saw the crib. She walked quietly to the crib and looked down. Princess Lila was curled up on her side, still sucking her thumb, sleeping peacefully. She bent down over the crib and picked up the sleeping princess, wrapped up in a tiny cloak. Once she held her firmly in her arms, she banged her scepter firmly on the ground, and they both disappeared. Geron, is that you? She looked around confused. She turned on the light and walked towards the crib. Where's Lila? She frantically ran to the living room. There, she saw Geron on the rug, passed out. She ran to him. In a frenzy, she started shaking him, hoping he was still alive. Are you okay? Oh, please, please be okay, she cried. She listened to his chest, and she could hear him breathing. I hear you. Stop shaking me. My head hurts, grumbled Geron. His head pounded, and his arm was hurting from her pulling on it so much. Oh, thank goodness you're okay. Where's Lila? Did you hide her? What are you saying, woman? I do not have her. She was with you in the crib. He sat up and rubbed his head. He had a massive lump on the side of his skull. No blood, though. That was fortunate. I assume you took her when I was sleeping. I woke up and she was gone. She's not in the crib? The room is empty? Oh, we are in trouble. He rubbed his head and rolled his eyes. He looked at Shell. She sat on the edge of the couch, looking at him in disbelief, looking terrified. He managed to sit up and squinted his eyes. His neck hurt. What are we going to do? Do? She asked. We need to sit here and figure out our next step. We need to get in touch with your sister. Yes. Yes, we do. Okay, that was a really short chapter today, but that's okay because we're on chapter 10. And book is only, I think, chapter 13. So we're getting there. But anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day and I hope you're safe. And I will see you next week for the next chapter. Bye.